All right, so talked about the three categories of people, which is just the last video that I uploaded. So if you haven't seen that one, check that one out so that you can get some more background. But because I'm going to do shorthand with those three categories as much as I can in order to save time here. The goal here is so that you can see how if there's three, obviously it means that you're going to be combining these in different ways. So if you happen to have a relationship where it's two evil people, for example, the Underwoods from House of Cards, two incredibly evil people. You put any relationship, whether that's two business partners, a married couple, or political running mates, anything like that where both of them are evil people, that's basically like two barrels on a gun pointed. If you've got them pointed directly at some target, the goal is to annihilate anything in their path. Two barrels on a gun. They're dangerous, and the only way to be safe, essentially, is to put as much distance between you and them as possible. Don't align yourself with them. Do not make deals with them. When the Israelites were being sent into the promised land, God specifically commanded them, do not make treaties with these people. Do not make covenants. Do not make vows with them, because they're evil. And if you are evil, making like covenants with evil people, eventually they are going to corrupt you. Don't do it. Stay away from them. And you can identify them based on the kind of, like, in the same way that, like, people tend to with people that have guns on their hips in public. You see somebody who's like, all of a sudden people are like, whoa, stay away. Like, it elevates the atmosphere in a way. So two evil people, incredibly dangerous. All right. The next is if you combine an evil person with an unwise person, that's almost like the supervillain and his henchman situation. The unwise person is going to mess things up. He's going to make mistakes. The evil person is then going to punish that person explicitly. You could say, I mean, like Victor Frankenstein and Igor, like that's kind of a trope that you have present there of just simply like bad things are going to happen as a result of what these two are doing, and often the unwise person is going to end up taking a lot of the brunt of just how evil that other person is. They're going to do menial tasks, and they're going to, like, there's not a lot of effort put into, like, educating or advancing or strengthening that other person, because simply the evil person doesn't want the advancement, does not desire the advancement, enrichment of this unwise person that's with them, because if that person goes from unwise to wise, it's going to leave the evil person because he's going to realize how evil. So often, like, there's other examples of this that you could have, like, and the person's actually going to treat the unwise person like they're less than human, like they're an animal, like, I mean, like a dog on a leash, quite frankly. So that's what that looks like. So when you see relationships where you have a really strong, iron-fisted individual and then a person that kind of cowers, kind of walks on eggshells around that other person, be that a spouse or whoever it is, you have a evil and an unwise person, and you have a very toxic domestic abuse situation. And quite frankly, when you see that, you need to call the police. You need to get the authorities involved. You need to help rescue that unwise person. Get them away from that evil person that's harming them. Now, it's fairly uncommon for an evil person and a wise person to have a relationship together, because of the fact that the wisdom of the wise person will limit them, will prevent them from allowing, they'll have good boundaries around them in time and money and resources so that they don't go to the places that evil people hang out. However, occasionally evil people are so covert. They're so under the radar. They are so subliminal in the way that they act and behave that they can even deceive an otherwise wise person. There's another instance when this can occur in which two people that used to be evil, like a person that was evil and unwise, a combination like that, but through maybe the person gets saved, maybe the person meets Christ, and they go from unwise to wise, and they become mentored by people in their church, or they start getting like wheels turning on an education, or they start working, and so they go from unwise to wise. They come under the protection of someone who is willing to help them and is willing to kind of create space between them and that evil person, and they're able to grow that way. And now you have this weird, unbalanced relationship between the evil and the unwise, evil and the wise person. Well, the Bible actually speaks to that in 2 Peter, in which he says that there are some wives who they come to Christ and they're being mentored by good Christian women that through their submission to their unsaved spouse could actually draw them in, and they could become saved by that. So now obviously you don't want abuse to occur. Obviously. That shouldn't even need to be stated, but it does. You don't want abuse to take place, and you don't want to stand idly by while abuse is taking place. But there's an interesting thing present there, that the Holy Spirit is even able to use an unbalanced relationship like that to draw an evil person away from their evil. So that's 3 different combinations, right? Then you have an unwise person and a wise person. Or let's do this one first. You have 2 unwise people. If you combine 2 unwise people in a single relationship, you're going to have drunk driving. You're going to have 2 people that do pub crawls. You're going to have the 2, gasoline in a match almost. That is just simply, they're going to get in trouble. Every middle school boy group is unwise people and unwise people getting together and doing unwise things. They're going to jump fences, and they're going to break windows, and they're going to drink too much, and they're going to stay up too late, and they're not going to show up on time, and just all of that, right? They're going to struggle to keep their job, keep a job. Just immature is the most apt word to describe that kind of relationship. And if it's romantic, it's going to be a whirlwind. There's going to be a lot of commandments broken. And it's the kind of thing that in television where people talk about what it was like back in the day when they used to have fun a lot. Like, it's going to be college dorm rooms. It's going to be all of that. Unwise and unwise, right? The second group from this kind of tier is the wise and unwise. You put an unwise person and a wise person together, which is just about every relationship. Let's just be totally honest. Nobody is perfect. And so even if, most of the time, I'm pretty wise, I think. I try to be as much as I can. I try to be responsible with resources and manage money well. But everyone gets out of their element in certain areas. I can teach the Bible, I can teach a lot of stuff like that, but with junior high, with high school, with college age, that's my zone. But if you're talking about younger than that, I have no instincts. I have no intuition. I don't know how to take care of small children like that. And then I become unwise. I go from wise to unwise. And most relationships are like that, where it's so important to be self-aware, to know the areas where I am able to manage things wisely and areas where I don't manage things wisely. So let's say my marriage, that if she's wise in places that I'm not wise, that I'll just let her take the lead. And if she's unwise and I'm more wise in that category, then I'll take the lead. And vice versa. So that. But, like, in general, a wise and unwise person is going to be like a parent and child, mostly, where dad's actually going to have a section on the chore chart, and he's going to have to get his gold stars on there to make sure, like, it's the Homer Simpson Marge relationship. It's the Lois and Peter Griffin. It's the where you have someone who's clearly the adult and someone who's clearly not behaving like an adult most of the time, right? That's wise and unwise. They end up they're able to keep things on rails for the most part, but it's only so long as the wise person is able to manage the poor level of responsibility that the unwise person has. So, but like I said, most relationships are not clear cut. Even if you are a wise person, which is like obviously every relationship that you want to be in, business, marriage, boyfriend, girlfriend, your friend groups, you want to be wise and wise combined together as much as humanly possible. And part of that self-awareness that I was talking about is recognizing the areas where you're not wise, right? And so, yielding to, submitting to, Ephesians chapter 5, verse 21 says specifically that believers are to submit to one another. And that's an expression of wisdom to do so, where you know that this is not a place where I'm strong, not just sitting, not just settling in that way of just, well, I'm not good at that, I'm just going to ignore it. No, because if you're not good with money, guess what? Life kind of has money in it. Money is important. And you can't just like, well, I'm no good at that. No, get some Dave Ramsey. Get some Focus on the Family materials. Like, what are you waiting for? Why are you, like, do not neglect things just because you're not good at them. That's unwise. Instead, if you know you're bad with money, then find someone who is good with money and just say, hey, will you mentor me? Show me what I'm doing wrong so I can do those things right instead. If you are not good in your marriage, if things are not healthy, things are not strong, get with a couple that's been married for a long time that can teach you what you're doing wrong, how to communicate more effectively, all of that. If you're just clueless, like you don't, like, I'm trying to be the best man that I can, I just don't know what I'm supposed to do, then find some men, get alongside them and say, listen, you can speak straight at me, tell me what I'm doing wrong so that I can stop doing those things. All of that. That's it. It is wise to recognize areas where you are unwise and to operate those things so that you can improve them. It's unwise to ignore them. It's also unwise to neglect them. A wise person recognizes, I'm not perfect. Like we talked about before, that Jesus is the only perfect person. I'm trying to be more like Jesus. So, as a result, I'm recognizing I'm not wise in all things. I want to be. Show me how.